Anyway, when we started doing this, I said specifically to the tutors, we want to make sure we don't only choose English instructors. And so the first person I thought of outside of English was my good friend Dmitriy Kalyagin. And it's not just because he's my friend, although I told him you have to do this so he wants to, not because you're my friend. It's because he has a really great story to share with you guys about how he got here to this place. And so I'm going to let him start talking. Dmitry.
Thank you so much, Dmitry. All right, guys, so before we get into my story, I did want to give you this quiz about Russia. The reason, one thing I was thinking about, a couple of years ago on Facebook, there was one of the stupid quizzes about how Russian are you. So when I took it, I got 75%, and when CJ took it, she got 100%. So I just want to see how Russian you are. So there's no politics here, right? But I do notice, seriously, that there's quite a lot of Russophobia happening in the last couple of years and not a lot of knowledge about the country. So just a few things, let's go through those together. So number one, you probably know that Russia is the biggest country in the world. So compared to California, how much bigger is it? Is it 10 times, 20 times, 40 times, or 100 times?
10.
10 times. No.
40.
40 times. 40 times bigger, 40 times bigger. Yay! So actually it's 1.8 times bigger than the United States. It's a very huge country. I've never been to like 4/5 of it probably. And it has 11 time zones. How many do we have? 5? Well, counting Alaska and Hawaii. Would it be 4? Wow. So it really covers 12.5% of the whole land. Of the whole earth. So number 2, how many languages are spoken in Russia? What do you think? 1, Russian.
100.
10. 100. There's over 100 languages. And actually, guys, in Russia there is like 26 semi-official languages. So there are different autonomous republics where Russian is also official with another language. I speak only Russian. Number 3, which of the following is a Russian word? Bistro, paradox, potato, or diamond? I didn't put vodka here. Bistro. Who said that? Yeah, what does that mean? Faster. When the Russian soldiers occupied Paris during Napoleon times, they were served food and they would scream, bistro, 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 quick, quick, quick. And so the French adopted the word as a quick place to eat. Quick. All right, number 4. Russians get really pissed when you're talking about World War II and the Americans say we won the war. Because it's not to compare it, but the United States lost 600,000 people, which is a huge number. So how many people died in Russia during World War II? Out of 60 million that died. So is it 12, 27? 20 million, 277,000? 27 million. So about 20% of the population, everybody, all of us have, grandfathers, grandmothers, or great-grandparents who died in the war. So it's a very serious matter for Russians. Okay, so if I'm going to the wedding, how many flowers should I bring? Should I bring a dozen, 9, none, or 20? 9. Why is it 9? It's never an even number. So the only time you bring even number, like 12, is to the funeral. So you bring 4 or 6 or 12. To any happy event, you have to bring an odd number. It could be 3, it could be 51. All right. Number 6, which of the following is a bad omen in Russia? A, shaking hands over a doorway. Putting an empty bottle on the table. Giving a corner seat at the table to an unmarried girl, or all of the above?
Empty bottle.
All of the above. Yeah, when we drink and if the bottle is empty, when you put it like this. When you put it down, you cannot keep the empty bottle on the table, empty bottle of anything.
Why?
I have no idea. I don't know why. And yeah, you do not see the girl or even the guy who is unmarried, unless they want to stay unmarried.
Yeah.
I don't also. Russians have a lot of superstitions. Tons of, I speak over my shoulder and I knock on wood like you do. And if you left the house and you forgot something and you have to return to the house, you have to look in the mirror, because otherwise bad things will happen. We have a lot of superstitions. All right, what was the name of the first dog in space? Russians put the first dog in space. Is it Laika, Babka, Lucky, or Cosmonaut? Laika. So Russians put the first man, the first dog. The dog never came back.
No.
Never came back. It was a stray dog from the streets of Moscow, so it wasn't somebody. They put the first man, they put the first woman in space too, in 1963. She's still alive. She's like a big something political leader in Russia. We just celebrated a couple of days ago the first time the man went into space, open space. Just happened a couple of days ago. Number 8, how far is the USA from Russia? 15,000 miles, 1,500 miles, 150 miles, 2.5 miles.
2.5 miles.
2.5 miles. At the closest area, Bering Strait, Alaska, where Sarah Palin can see Russia from her home. It's not from Juneau, where she lived. I assume it was the capital where she lived. But from the point in Alaska to the point in the Russian Far East, called Chukotka, is only 2.5 miles. Number 9, 1867, the United States purchased Alaska from Russia. How much did they pay the USA to purchase the whole area?
48 now.
48 million. They paid, let me see, I don't remember. They paid 7.2 million, which I converted because I'm a business instructor. Now it would be 119 million in today's dollars. And actually, I heard that like in the United States there was a lot of debate at that time where Americans were saying we shouldn't be doing it. It's too far. There's no way for infrastructure, to be built. And but finally, the Americans voted for Catherine the Great. And the last one, which pets are on the payroll of the Hermitage, which is the biggest Russian museum? It's cats. There are 62 cats whose owners are getting paid by the museum, so there is no mice. They keep the mice.
Smart Russians.
So guys, that's the country I'm coming from, and so I immigrated to the United States in 1994. So this year I will celebrate 22 years, and also I'm turning 44, so I will have half of my life lived here and half of my life still lived there. So I'm still more Russian than American, but by August I will celebrate 22 years. So in Russia, I lived there until I was 22 years old, and I graduated from university there, and we came here as Jewish refugees. So part of my family, my aunt and her family, they weren't able to receive the refugee status for a long time, and they were real anti-communist and whatever. But they finally got it, and they immigrated. And when they were immigrating, they were settled in Iowa, in the capital of Iowa, Des Moines. So a couple of years later, myself, my mom, and my grandma, so we were invited, and we went through an interview process in the embassy, and we got the refugee status. And we immigrated in August of 1994 again, so we went to Des Moines, Iowa. I come from a bigger city, Samara. It's about 1.5 million people, so I didn't speak much English. I mean, I studied some in school. We also had a tutor before we immigrated. It was tough times in Russia, so all my furniture, everything we had in the house, we bartered for English lessons. So the tutor would give us lessons, my mom and myself were getting the lessons, and we would pay her with our furniture. And the first time I spoke English, it was on the plane. The plane was a charter plane, so it was all refugees. It was predominantly Jewish and a lot of Baptist refugees. And so when we were on the plane, that was the first time the flight attendant was asking, what do you want to drink? And I said, orange juice. And everybody was so impressed in my voice. Like, and what do you want? Apple juice, So that's the first time I was able to speak English. And it was really cool. So I remember that day we got to JFK in New York. And before getting through the passport control, I had to use a restroom. And in Russia, in Europe in general, so the toilets, they don't have any water, so when you flush it, it goes down. And here the toilet goes up and then down, which I've never seen. It goes up and then down. So when I flushed it, I thought I broke it. So I ran away, I closed the door, I was standing in line, and I was watching, waiting for the water to come out from under the door. And so we got to JFK, we got to Des Moines, Iowa. When we were landing in Des Moines, Iowa, there were no buildings. There was no city because the airport is kind of out of town. And so when we got there, it's so small, I was really shocked. So we came as a part of the Jewish community. We were met by the Jewish community of Des Moines area. They already had an apartment rented for us. They had all the furniture that was donated, all big TV, but it was all there, all set up. We have Manischewitz wine in the refrigerator. So all the Russian Jewish community, my aunt and the Jews there met us. And it was very exciting, but in Russia, I had a degree in geography and biology. And I worked as a teacher of geography in high school for like 3 years. I love geography. So when I got there, a couple of Russian Jews asked me, so what is your specialty? I said, geography, all proud of myself. They said, what the hell? There's like nothing you can do with it here. So as refugees, we had food stamps and we had medical, and we had some support from the community. But we still were very poor because the money they were giving us were not enough to pay for the apartment. And the food stamps we would exchange illegally for cash. So we had a little bit more cash. And so in Iowa, so we immigrated in August. By September, the rain started and we didn't have an umbrella. And we needed $10 to buy an umbrella, but the budget in the family. So finally we bought at Target, we walked, we didn't know how to drive, none of us drove. And we bought an umbrella, and I was taking the bus to community college, where I was taking ESL. And then the transfer stop, I left it on the stop. And then I took another bus, came back, and then the umbrella was gone. And it was such a tragedy because that $10 we spent on the umbrella was a huge amount. So I really wanted to learn English because I wanted to make more money. I also was openly gay in Russia. At that time it was fine to be gay in Russia in the 90s. And, but we didn't have gay bars, and we didn't have a lot of people were not out. So I come to Des Moines, Iowa, and I go, yeah, this is gay paradise compared to Russia. Because there is there are gay clubs, 3 of them, and there is newspaper ads at the time, and there are men of all color. And so that was another motivator for me to learn English. So as I told Suji, it was sex and money. I wanted to make money, and I was young, I wanted to have sex. So I went to take my ESL classes. And very fast I started speaking English. So one semester I went to a community college for ESL. And then I started working. So my first job was, I was working at a Jewish nursing home as an assistant aide. It's just my Jewish Federation found something for me. I was making $2.45 at the time per hour. And a lot of residents were they spoke a little bit of Polish or Russian or anything like that. So I learned a lot from them, a lot of English. But I remember this one guy, Abraham, he was Polish, very old. He said, I was able to speak to him because Polish and Russian are a little similar. And one day he asked me for 7-Up. He said, could I get a bottle of 7-Up? I have no idea what 7-Up is. I saw 7-Up bottles in the store, but I thought it was a Zap. So 7-Up, I go to the thermometer and I go thermostat and I go 7 degrees up. He goes, no, 7-Up. Jak chcę, he says in Polish, I want 7-Up. I go to his remote control TV and I go 7 channels up. So I just left the guy. I was so embarrassed. Eventually, I'm like, that's what he wanted. That's how. So I was going to college and I was working. As I was going to college, as I started to community college, Des Moines Area Community College, DMAC. As I started taking regular classes, one thing I did, I started taking geography classes. And that also helped me learn my English better because I knew the content, I knew the area. And I still have the book of human geography with all this adherence and translation and what it means in Russian. So it really helped me boost my self-esteem academically. And after the nursing home, I got a job as a busboy at TGI Fridays. And I got it by myself, and I was very proud of it. And again, I started making all this cash money. I would get like $50, $60 per shift, and I would go buy a carton of cigarettes for $16. I love to smoke my first. And the rest I would bring to my mom, so that was very nice. And finally, I found a job as a like warehouse person at a public corporation, but it was founded by Russian immigrants, so they were working a lot with Russia. So I was driving the forklift before I knew how to drive a car. And I was working with all these guys, like men from Iowa. They were listening to country music, and it was a lot of fun. I learned a lot from them. And going to college. So as I started taking business classes, so as I was taking English classes, geography, whatever I was taking, sociology, I really loved my instructors. But as I started taking business classes, they were horrible. The instructors were horrible. They were burned out, they were not interesting, they were all tired, they were all old. They were bad, they were just bad, not good. Because I don't know, whatever, the competition was not as tough for those jobs. So I started understanding that I don't want to really work in the business world, because as I was driving the forklift, I didn't really like it. And I used to be a teacher and come from a family of teachers. My mom is a teacher, my dad used to be a teacher, so I like that part. So I'm like, maybe I should, consider this career. So I started going, I got my 2-year degree in business, and then I decided to see, well, what do I need to do to become an instructor at a community college? So I just went on some website, blogs, the Chronicle of Higher Education, there's a magazine. They had a blog, and I saw there that you have to have an MBA and you have to have business experience. So at my job, I've been promoted. So they started promoting me. I didn't have to drive the forklift anymore, and I was an assistant manager. I became a manager dealing with contract management. I worked a lot with Russian gas and oil pipelines as a contract manager. But again, in that industry, being gay was not okay at all. It's a very male-dominated industry. Like I went to Russia a couple of times for for business trips, and it wasn't my cup of tea. So I was watching promotions being packed, like I would not get a promotion even though I was the only one getting an MBA at the time. I was told by wives of the guys who were my managers and top managers that the only reason they're not firing me is, and they wanted to fire me because I'm gay, because the wives tell them not to. Because at the Russian parties I would dance with the wives. And I started understanding it's not really my cup of tea. So I saw that you have to get an MBA, so I already had bachelor's from Russia in geography and biology. They didn't care. So there was a private university in town called Drake University, and I applied and I got accepted. And so at that time I was doing full-time job, and I was going at night to take classes. And after that, I would go to a bar and close the bar, so it was all good. Wake up at 7 in the morning, do it again. It was really young. So, as I started getting close to finishing my MBA, I started applying for jobs. So the year 1999, I applied to 72 jobs. So every single job that was open in my field, in business, teaching community college, anywhere in the United States, I applied to. And those of you who applied for those jobs, it's like you have to write freaking essays and sample lesson plans and see like it depends on college. So it was like another full-time job. As a very organized, obsessed, person and a geography major, I still have folders organized geographically. Southwest states, Northwest states, South state, everywhere. Poplar Bluffs, Missouri, doesn't matter. So I applied everywhere. Out of 72, and I didn't have any teaching experience, Only in Russia. So in the United States, I had no teaching experience. I was working in that company. So out of 72 jobs, I got invited to, four interviews. 2 in Iowa, not in Des Moines, even like Sioux City, but 1 in Michigan, and Chabot was the first one. So when the secretary, administrative assistant called, She was a character from Chabot. I didn't remember what Chabot is. I had no clue. I applied to 72 jobs, right? So she goes and she says, we would like to invite you for an interview. Chabot, right? And I said, what's the closest airport to you guys? Like, I don't know. She said, San Francisco, Oakland. So I flew in. We had to pay everything ourselves. The college does not pay for you. So, and that was the year when I was finishing my MBA. So I was finishing in May, so I got an interview here even before I got the degree. And had an interview, then had a second interview. Thank God they arranged it together. And then when they offered me a job, oh, I remember I stayed in the hotel on 8th Street, and I forgot how to pronounce Chabot, Chabot. So I had to go to a clerk, and I said, can you say it for me? Is it Chabot? Is it Chabot? So I got the job. So it was my first interview. I don't know why. I'm lucky. And just got the job. Left everybody. My mom was there, my grandma, my aunt, my boyfriend, and his 3 kids, and an apartment, and everything. I left everything, and I took a big salary. Well, in Iowa, I was making like 48,000, and here I think I started making 36,000 in 2000. So in my apartment there was $540, and here was 1,000 something. So left everything, took my car, and moved here. Came to here in 2000. So that's the story. Been here ever since. Do you guys have any questions? Yes.
I believe I have a question for you.
We've been friends for like
Since 2000.
Since 2000.
God, I'm so glad you got hired here.
Yeah.
So, now some of us would say that you're still learning. You are still learning English,
Yes.
of course. Like, at what point did you, in all of this, did you feel like you were fluent?
It's an interesting, I'll take a little, sometimes I ask TJ something about English. I say, well, she's an English teacher, and the only answer she gives me is, how long you been in this country?
I'm kidding when I say that.
You know, I think there were a couple of things. When you start dreaming in English, I think that's one thing. When you dream in English, when you dream song. I also remember my thing about sex and money? Sex and money? I was taking one, I don't know if it was a marketing class or sociology class, and I saw the hierarchy of needs, Maslow's hierarchy, because everything was very foreign. I was telling TJ that when you're a new immigrant, you have your house, you have your community, you have your relatives. That other world is out there. So your world is here, and that's three-dimensional. The other world is two-dimensional. It exists, it looks pretty, but it's scary, and you don't get that. Also, I think as a new immigrant, I was well educated, but you're forced to deal with Americans of a different level. You are taking buses, you are taking very low level classes, you're dealing, so your impression of the country is different. So when I saw that Maslow's hierarchy, when I saw that physiological needs, sex and money, it made sense. And his last name, I don't know if he's Russian or Jewish, who is he? His last name means butter in Russian. I'm like, yeah, I like that. I'm like, that's me, that's my concept. That's the first time I felt comfortable. And so, eventually when I started meeting American friends, people my age, who would like the same movies, who would like the same books, who would appreciate the same painters, who have the same commonalities, I'm like, oh, they're cool, they're okay. So my three-dimensional world in my house started expanding outside.
What year was that, though?
It would be, so I came here in 94, 96, a couple of years. But I was very young, I was 22. Yeah.
I had a related question about English, because you said you picked it right up from that first class, and I was wondering if you had learned any in Russia.
I did, so in Russia, but again, it's very academic. So in Russia, you study foreign, now they study two. I studied one from the 4th grade to 11th grade. Then in college, everybody studies a foreign language for 2.5 years, but the focus is academic translation. So the focus is, we call it thousands. How many thousand words are you able to translate? So I knew the grammar. I didn't have much vocabulary. And so I picked it up quite fast. But that's how I learn. I'm logical, so for me, grammar goes first, and vocabulary and slang goes second. But like a lot of TGI Fridays, right? I told you I work for it. I had no idea what TGI is. I thought it's the guy who founded the place. I don't know what TGI, thank God it's Friday. I had no, then a couple of months later, somebody told me, I'm like, oh, That makes sense. Fridays. Even, I was remembering the first time my aunt called me fresh off the boat. When I went, she asked me to mail a letter. And in Russia, the mailboxes go in. And here you have to pull it out, right? I had no idea. I was trying to push it in. So I was feeling so stupid, walking around that, and I couldn't mail it. I came back to her car and she said, "You're so fresh off the boat." It's those little things. Yeah.
When you speak to your family back in Iowa or your Russian friends, and you talk about Americans, it doesn't matter if it's Americans in Iowa or Americans in California, anything in particular come up? Things that
Or when
my husband is Ukrainian and he doesn't speak, so I just got married 2 years ago.
things that Americans might not even realize about themselves.
When he was watching on Skype TJ, like I would be in Ukraine, we would be Skyping, he says they're so emotional. Oh, my other friend too. Like when you don't, you guys are much more open. Russians are very stoic, right? Like,
Guys are the most emotional people in the world.
and so Americans are extremely. But let me tell you, when I met Sergey, you couldn't bring a person here, right? So we didn't have DOMA. We had DOMA in place. So it happened before the law changed. So straight people were able to bring their fiancés. There is a special visa called K1. Gay people could not do it. So we've known each other since 2002. And so I even bought a place in Ukraine. I would go every break we had, I went to Ukraine, which I was sick and tired of. But because we didn't know what was going to happen. So this relationship, Americans, all of my American friends, including TJ, were people at work, were extremely supportive because there is that naivete in Americans, that optimism. And all my Russian friends were saying, "Are you crazy? Are you insane? What are you doing? You're wasting your time. He's there, you're here." So Russians are more pragmatic, I think, in a way, more blunt, more straightforward. But they do say it's very easy to get to know an American, but it's very hard to become their friends. I think it's especially true in the Bay Area. TJ and I talked about it a lot. And with Russians, it's opposite. They are not very friendly here, but once you become their friends, that's it. They're gonna be around you forever. And it worked out with me. We were actually the first couple, same-sex couple, to get a K1 visa in Ukraine. It completely worked out. We came here legally. And right before the war started in Ukraine, too. Like a month before. We left in January and February, the war began. And he's from that area. Yeah. Anything else? Well, thank you so much, guys, for coming.
Well, I have a
okay.
do you feel like you got what you wanted? I mean, do you feel like I guess it's kind of, do you feel like
Sex and money, yeah.
and did you feel like you created your life? Like you wanted this and you got it?
I think, yeah, I was...
It's part of what your philosophy is Russian.
Well, it's existentialist, but it's really one of these things where, I don't know, like this job, I really feel like things worked out. I'm extremely lucky to have it. I've been here for 16 years. I live in California, not in Des Moines, Iowa anymore, right? I am married, but like these things, I believe that I created them with that passion, the whole thing passion. I wanted to do what I wanted to do. To me, business is cool. I'm teaching accounting now. I've never worked as an accountant. But the subject matter is really secondary, which is me. A lot of people are opposite. I love teaching. I can teach whatever you want me to teach. I can learn that content. That doesn't matter to me. Like, it just doesn't. So to me, being a teacher was my passion. That's what I loved. That's what my parents did. That's what I wanted to do. And I knew I could do something good because I saw how bad and unprepared as teachers my instructors in business were. So I think once I found it, I had to put so much time. But I also think if it would happen to me now, I wouldn't have as much energy. I wouldn't have as much time, not time, but like desire to do it, to apply, to go through interviews, to move, to abandon everything. So students, once again, different philosophy. community colleges are there to try different things and take different classes, which I also did. It's fine. But everything has to be done in the right time. And if you're sometimes been going to college for too long and you still haven't decided what you want, at a certain time, you have to decide what you want. And put your energy and your education and your experiences into that. All good?
All good.
Everybody's happy? Okay guys, thank you so much for coming.
So thank you everybody for coming out. I think the next one is April 19th?
Yeah,
April 19th, is it Sean?
yeah.
Sean Farland is the next one, T-Top, April 19th. So watch the space. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you guys. Thank you.